Hey, we welcome you to this edition of the 700 Club. I want to ask you a question. Can you imagine one federal district judge, thinks he's got the resources and the expertise to run the foreign policy of the United States of America? That is executive overreach of a massive proportion. And yet one judge does it. He puts out an order he claims is going to affect the whole United States of America. We didn't elect him to anything. He has had no public office. He is a federal district court judge, one district, and that should be his province, but he does not represent the United States of America. And so the president has been fighting that. They're in that ultra-liberal Ninth Circuit, and three-judge panel did what they did. So we're going to examine with Jay Sekulow the ramifications of this order and what the president could do and may well do to change the dynamic. And it's all available to him. We're going to tell you the inside word on that. Here's Wendy.
Right. Critics say the courts have overreached, you could say that again, in their actions against the president's executive order. But supporters say the law is clearly on the president's side. Dale Hurd has the story.
The president says it would be a brand new executive order following a Ninth Circuit Court decision to uphold a restraining order against his temporary executive order restricting immigration and travel from 7 Muslim-majority countries linked to terrorism.
We will perhaps do that. We'll see, but on Monday or Tuesday.
Immigration agents have rounded up hundreds of illegal immigrants in the past few days, concentrating, the White House says, on violent criminals. The president tweeted, "The crackdown on illegal criminals is merely the keeping of my campaign promise. Gang members, drug dealers, and others are being removed." And as for a new executive order,
we'll win that battle, but we also have a lot of other options, including just filing a brand new order on Monday.
Are you planning to do that? Is that your plan?
Could very well be, but I'd like to keep you, I'd like to surprise you.
The White House says any new executive order is likely to have a much narrower scope, like suspending visas and refugee entry from the 7 nations on the president's list. Anyone already cleared would be allowed to keep their visas.
There is no constitutional right for a citizen in a foreign country who has no status in America to demand entry into our country. Such a right cannot exist. Such a right will never exist. This is an ideological disagreement between those who believe we should have borders and should have controls, and those who believe there should be no borders and no controls.
Meanwhile, President Trump faces an international test as well. As he hosted Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at Mar-a-Lago, it was confirmed that North Korea fired off a ballistic missile into the Sea of Japan. The leaders called the test launch intolerable, with Trump saying the U.S. has Japan's back 100%. But on the White House's primary issue of the moment, the administration seems determined to move ahead in the immigration battle, with policy advisor Stephen Miller saying all options are on the table. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Well, we've got an expert with us on this whole matter, Jay Sekulow of the American Center for Law and Justice. And Jay, is that the best move to really scrap this other thing and go with the new order?
I do think it is, Pat. I've been saying that since the district court and even since the Ninth Circuit came out with this decision more particularly, and that is there was some confusion within the executive order itself where those with green cards, valid travel visas, it was not clear from the executive order whether they were going to be subject to the order or not. It was later clarified in a White House directive from the White House counsel's office. But the one thing the Ninth Circuit kind of got right here, and they didn't get much right, was that's not necessarily binding on the agencies. That's more of an advisory opinion. So what we've suggested, what we've advocated, is that the executive order be reissued today or tomorrow, that it includes a provision that clearly sets forth that those with visas, valid travel visas, green cards, would not be within the scope of that order. That will cure any kind of confusion. Then, of course, I'm still thinking the Washington State will file a lawsuit, and the district court will probably rule against them, and the Ninth Circuit might well rule against them also. But I will tell you this, at the end of the day, that's the case I take to the Supreme Court. I think you win it 8-0.
Well, Jay, wouldn't it be smart to moot this present case and reopen one, like ask a declaratory judgment or something in another circuit? Would that be smart or not?
Sure. Well, I think, listen, mooting the case, you're absolutely right, Pat. Mooting this case out, I think, is important because the trajectory of this case, let's just be realistic, is not good. The Ninth Circuit opinion was horrendous. I think there were numerous constitutional errors. But the question is, what would happen to it? Do you take it up to the Supreme Court? Justice Kennedy gets it. There's the confusion in the order. That doesn't help. So if you're going to take a case to the Supreme Court, if one is going to get there, and I suspect this does, then I'd rather have a cleaner case, one where the facts and the law line up. And that means simply reissuing the executive order, making sure the language is crystal clear with those that have valid travel visas, education, work visas, whatever it might be, green cards, would not be impacted by this. By the way, it doesn't mean they can't be questioned if they went to Chechnya, for instance, like the Sarnet brothers. They still can be questioned upon reentry, but they would not be subject to the executive order, and that questioning on reentry is already in the rules and regulations. That would just be a much cleaner case when it arrives, which it ultimately will, more than likely, the Supreme Court. I suspect, Pat, you'll also see a change of strategy from the state of Washington and these others, and I think they will try to challenge this on religion clause issues, on the Establishment Clause, because it allows for and gives a preference to, as some would say, religious minorities. But let me tell you something, that is not an Establishment Clause issue at all. In fact, our refugee laws and our immigration laws have always recognized that. Whether it was the Soviet Jewry allowed it into the United States in the 1980s, whether it's been other religious groups that have been persecuted, religion is not an irrelevant factor. It's one of the factors you'll look at to see who's being persecuted.
Well, Jay, it looks like the state of Washington, as I understand it, Attorney General was planning to oppose anything. They had it in the works before this order was ever issued. Is that correct?
Yes. So, and they will do that again. I mean, we shouldn't be naive to think that the new executive order is going to be the cure-all for the litigation. It's not. It's just going to change the venue. Possibly other courts may engage on this. But also you have a situation where it's a much cleaner case. So I think moot the case out, a new executive order, which could come today or tomorrow, and then proceed in the litigation, focusing on the Establishment Clause. I will tell you, we're already drafting our defense of that provision up right now as we speak.
Is Jeff Sessions going along with this? Is he going to lead the charge, or is that guy in the White House? I don't think the White House counsel is really up to prime time.
Well, I think it's, look, the Department of Justice is charged with the task of defending this executive order. So this will be within Jeff Sessions' purview now. He was not in office last week until the very end of the week when this had already taken place. He's now in office. He's been a friend of ours for a long time. He's a fantastic attorney. He's been an attorney general for a state. He has, of course, been a U.S. senator. He was a U.S. attorney. He's had federal and state experience. He knows how to litigate. He'll get the right team in place, and we'll file friend of the court briefs and assist any way we can. But at the end of the day, Jeff Sessions will be taking charge.
Jay, this whole thing raises an incredible political and constitutional issue. The fact that one district court judge thinks he has got the authority to bind the entire nation of the United States. That's an outrage. There's just nothing in the Constitution that gives him that authority.
Well, the Constitution is actually the opposite. The Constitution, under the separation of powers, doesn't give the judiciary the determination on national security matters. That's within the purview of the executive. And Congress has outlined that very clearly in 1182F of the U.S. Code, which, by the way, the Ninth Circuit did not even mention in its opinion at all. I mean, they didn't even mention the statutory basis upon which the president acted. That tells you something. They didn't want to hear about the law. They just wanted to make a policy determination of their own. They did. I think it was wrong. But again, I want to put the best case forward. I know that Attorney General Sessions will want to do the same thing. And the best case forward will be a new executive order that is crystal clear, no ambiguities.
Okay. And you will help them if they need help? I'm sure.
We're always, you know, look, on something like this, when you're talking about national security, we filed already. We were willing to defend the existing executive order. We were one of the only groups that filed in that case, actually. I think there were 3 on our side and 30-something on the other. So we'll be prepared, of course, again, to help. Well, as I said, we're working on the brief now. I really think, Pat, they're going to focus on the religion clause issue. I think it's a very weak argument. I think we win that at the Supreme Court, but we're getting that ready now.
This 4-to-4 anomaly thing, that's got to stop. Do you think the president might push forward Gorsuch and get his nomination confirmed a little faster?
I hope so, but you know, the nature of this, I think we're looking at a 50 to 70 day period for this confirmation process to take place. Having said that, I think this particular, I haven't seen it yet, if the redrafted order is as I expect it to be, I think we could get all 8 justices on this. I can't imagine a justice thinking that by exempting out or giving a priority to those that are being clearly persecuted and religious minorities where they can't get in-region aid. That's the problem, that somehow that's a religion clause issue. I don't see it. And they may take that provision out. Who knows? We'll see that in the next 24 to 48 hours. But yeah, Pat, I think Gorsuch will be confirmed. He will go from judge to Justice Gorsuch, but I still think we're probably 2 months out.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Thank you so much for this insight. It's very clear, and I hope they follow your advice. All right.
Thank you, Pat.
Jay Sekulow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the way it ought to be done. They ought to change the order, moot the cotton-picking thing that's out there now, file a new order, and if I were doing it, I'd file it in some other district court where you can go up to a different circuit than the Ninth Circuit, which is always, it's the most overruled circuit in the United States. It has an appalling record because they have violated the Constitution so many times, and it is clearly ideological. It is not based on law. Can you imagine a decision that doesn't even mention the underlying statute on which the order based? It was just incredible. Well, Wendy has some more. We're going to have a great day today, so stay with us. Wendy.
That's right. Faith and family values took center stage this weekend at the 25th Annual Movieguide Awards in Los Angeles. The event highlights and awards uplifting and inspiring entertainment and media. And among the honorees, our very own Pat Robertson. Ephraim Graham brings us the story from Hollywood.
Entertainment award season is in full swing. And the stars on this red carpet are here to shine a light on something that doesn't always get attention in Hollywood, faith.
But everything that we do is informed by our faith. And so it's important to celebrate our faith, I believe.
And it's wonderful to see the industry grow and grow and grow. It's fantastic.
Movieguide works to bridge the gap between the entertainment industry and the traditional family audience. And since 1993, it's hosted this gala to award people in film and television whose work entertains and inspires. This year, Movieguide honors CBN founder Dr. Pat Robertson with its Lifetime Achievement Award for living and communicating the good news.
It's a great honor. The Movieguide, they do such a superb job, and it's a thrill for me to be part of this celebration.
It's also been a big year in entertainment for Dr. Robertson and Regent University, partnering with Hollywood heavyweight actor and filmmaker Corbin Burnson to produce the school's first full-length feature film, In Lawfully Yours.
Corbin Burnson's here with me right now. We did a movie with him, and we're going to do some others.
It's only fitting tonight Burnson presents Dr. Robertson with his award.
Tonight we honor Pat for that illumination, for that sharing, that kindness that he has shown to so many people who have crossed his path.
That kindness prompts a standing ovation for a living legend in the world of broadcasting.
Thank you, Corbin. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. God bless all of you. In another month, I'm going to be 87 years old. And over that time, praise God for his blessing in my life. And I can say, hitherto hath the Lord blessed me. Thank you all. God bless all of you. God bless America.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
Wow, Pat, what an honor. Was it fun?
It was fun, sure. It was a nice thing. And to be surrounded with people who, share the same values and who, I must say that Ted Baer has had an amazing influence in Hollywood. He started kind of small, and you say, well, who's this little guy? Next thing you know, he's talking to the heads of the motion picture, but he's brilliant in terms of statistics. And so he tells them, look how many people go to church, and look how few people show up in the movies. Now, you want some of those church people to come see your movies, you better start changing what you do. And so they're listening to it, and the number of faith-based and inspirational movies has grown dramatically, and his activity is part of it. So it was nice to have an award from them, and Ted's a good guy, and it was fun.
And now you, at almost 87, are getting into the movie business.
I'm getting in big time. Actually, when I headed International Family, we had about $180 million a year of original shows. So we also bought the Mary Tyler Moore Studio. We own Hill Street Blues and all those shows.
I didn't know this.
Well, I know there's so many things I've done, darling.
It's hard to keep up with
my life just goes on and on. It's hard to keep up with everything.
A true Renaissance man right here.
Here we go. Okay, well, you were very sweet. Thank you.